So we got to get past the card reader. So at some point, you know, maybe when we get more cards on the first one,
It's got to be on the first one.
Sure. Sure, and we're into the new year, so we can take some additional donations now. Because we're into our new fiscal year. We were pretty much maxed out last year.
I could be wrong. Smarter than I am.
would they give us 15?
500.
500.
I think it has to be presented.
That's nice.
It's got to be amended tonight.
Oh, that's good.
Because if it changes the whole thing.
And of course, the guys
It's more money. It's more money. It's more money.
Take the mic, I'll take the plates.
Terry wasn't here. Cam wasn't here. John. Greg Bird wasn't here. Paul wasn't here. Austin wasn't here. Jimmy Dale wasn't here.
Joe Coleman is not here. AJ Walker is not here.
Because all the laptops are connected.
Yeah, it started.
First, 2025. Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll?
If you'll sign in on your computers, mark yourself present.
Miss Hyda. There we go.
16 members present, 5 absent.
16 present, 5 absent. Would everyone please rise for the prayer led by Marcus Reed in a moment of silence and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Sam Solomon.
Before we pray, I would request that we would have a moment of silence in honor of a great friend, a boss, and a servant to our county, Alan Palmieri. Father, our God, I come to you with a grateful heart for allowing me to live in such a great country in such a great county. Lord, we pray for our country as we have just went through a major change in leadership. I pray for the bitterness that seems to rock our nation, that we would remember those of us who are called by you to truly respect each other first and foremost, because we are all created in your image. Lord, I thank you for my opportunity to serve our government and to serve our citizens. Lord, help us to walk upright before you, honoring you and trusting in you. Lord, I pray your blessing upon this body, upon the citizens that are here. I thank you that we take time to honor those who have given their life in defense of this country. I thank you for the emergency response that we have in this county. I thank you for the dedicated employees that we have. Lord, most of all, I thank you for my salvation and for those who are called by you. Lord, thank you again. We worship you and we glorify you because that's what we should do, because you created us. And these things I pray in the name of your unique Son, Jesus Christ, and I give him praise. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening. It's a little chilly out. Youth leadership, do we have you here in the house? Stand up. Next on the agenda, we have proclamations and courtesy resolutions. You're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is once again my honor and privilege to be here tonight to recognize a local hero. I want to say thank you to the Commission for allowing us to memorialize these heroes in front of you and our community, and especially in front of their Gold Star family members. Private William Paul Hickman from Piedmont was the great uncle of Dr. Monty Sharp, and he was killed in Ypres, Belgium in World War I. If the family members would like to join me up here, please. And also, Mr. Jimmy Dale Patterson, could you join me up front? Mr. Mayor, if you would read the proclamation, please.
Hometown hero. Whereas William P. Paul Hickman, one of 5 children born to Peter F. and America Birchfield Hickman, lived in Piedmont, Tennessee, where his family ran the first telephone switchboard out of the Piedmont General Store. As a young man, he traveled to New Market, Tennessee, and enlisted in the United States Army on June the 24th, 1917. He was sent for training at Camp Sevier in Greenville, South Carolina. He was assigned to the Medical Corps in the 119th Infantry Regiment, 30th Infantry Division. On May the 15th, 1918, the 119th Regiment assembled in the harbor of Halifax, Nova Scotia, in a convoy including 3 British transports, and they sailed for England the following day. On the morning of May the 27th, 1918, after battling treacherous weather of the North Atlantic crossing and the ever-threatening attacks from the German submarines, the convoy safely reached the port of Liverpool, England. They were put in trains and they were bound to Dover. By May 29th, 1918, the regiment had crossed the English Channel and assembled in a camp in a French city. They were in Belgium and held strategic importance for both the Allied powers and the Germans near Belgium's western border with France. There's 850,000 Allied and German casualties during this battle, or during this time. Private William P. Paul Hickman, in the battle, torn sector he was in, was risking his life, tending to the wounded he was carrying, a leader with a squadron of 4 men on August the 31st, 1918, when he was struck by enemy shrapnel, killing him instantly at the age of 21. Whereas the family of William P. Paul Hickman received letters from fellow soldiers and good friends Ralph Cates, and Clifton Latimer, sharing the love and admiration shown by the entire hospital corps. Private William P. Paul Hickman served his country well, served his county well. He was temporarily buried in a British cemetery in Belgium. His remains were later returned to his family, and he was laid to rest in the Piedmont Cemetery in Jefferson County, Tennessee. His family engraved, "God bless our boy," on his headstone. Now therefore I, Mark Potts, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of Jefferson County, and in conjunction with the Jefferson County Commission, express our sincere thanks and deepest sympathy and condolences to the family and friends of the late Private William P. Paul Hickman. He will always be remembered for the sacrifices he made to Jefferson County, Tennessee, and the United States of America. Thank you so much.
Mayor, too bad you ain't got a chalkboard.
Sir?
Too bad you ain't got a chalkboard to drag.
Most of these people don't even know what a chalkboard is.
Next, we have approval and corrections of the agenda. Does anyone have anything? I believe we need to suspend the rules. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've added resolution 2025, I believe it's 13. It's an application for a raise grant. We've applied before. We didn't get it the last time. Don't mean we're not going to keep on trying. I don't necessarily have to have a resolution for it, but it certainly helps to have a resolution from this body approving it. A raise grant is a transportation planning grant that would look at the entire transportation system in the county. It would gather the data. That's what we need to do to determine what needs to be done to improve traffic flow. Once you get that initial, if we can get that first initial raise grant, you can get money to do your projects and move on, but you've got to get by that first hurdle, and this is the first step right here is to get this resolution. Thank you.
Question or comment? Got a motion on the floor and a second?
You're gonna need a motion to suspend it.
Right.
Is that what your motion
That,
is?
I think that's what the motion's for. Sir.
Have we got anything on the, what we discussed about the impact fee? Or,
It's on the agenda.
okay.
Way down at the bottom, new business. We will proceed to
It's on here.
Sure, Terry.
I don't have anything on the motion in front of us. I just have something I'd like to say in regard to the agenda after we finish this vote.
All right. We'll vote to suspend the rule. Proceed. $16 yes, 0 no's. The rule has been suspended, and this will be added to new business.
Mr. Chairman, while we're adding this, we have a school number 5 and number 6 that also need to be added.
School number 5 and school number 6.
On budget.
On budget?
Yes, under budget.
Under budget. Okay, new business, that will be Dave.
Already on their thing.
Mr. Chairman,
Start there.
Sure.
question for Mr. Scarlett.
Yes, sir.
On the budget amendment number 6, that was only item 1 that made it out of committee. Thank you.
That's it.
All right.
We shall proceed on. Appearance of citizens.
Chairman.
Wait a minute, we got to approve the minutes.
Yeah, I'll be brief. I just like to remind everyone to ensure we're following our own rules of procedure. There's a section in the rules, Jefferson County Rules of Procedure, that says each commissioner gets one opportunity with up to 6 minutes to address an agenda item. No other commissioner may speak when another commissioner has the floor, except to ask questions. When the commissioner has the floor is finished, they are required to notify the chairman. When the chairman acknowledges it, then he moves on to whoever has the floor next. But it's one opportunity with 6 minutes, and that's double the time we're giving citizens. Just wanted to remind everyone of that. Thank you.
All right, question or comment? Standard rule of procedure. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Oh, wait a minute, that's twice talking about doing that. Okay, we have to have a vote to approve the agenda as amended. Sixteen zero. The agenda has been set. Next, we have minutes. Regularly quarterly session of Jefferson County Board of Commissioners, Monday, October the 21st. And a special call session of the Jefferson County Board of Commissioners on Monday, November the 18th. Let's see, did we get up where they make a motion? Are they voting? All right. Good. 16-0 passed. Next, we have appearance of citizens. We've got quite a list, so let's try to be as efficient as we can and try to get everybody in. Okay, sure.
I didn't know those 2 minutes were together. I'd like to abstain from the special calls because I wasn't here.
Done fooled you. Yep, okay. Took care of that. When your name is called out, please come to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes. Let's be as brief as we can so we can get right along. Mr. Jim Fox.
All right. Just this a little bit. All righty. Thank you. Obviously, the big thing on the agenda is the taxes and the several different taxes that are going on. One, you know, we're talking about a wheel tax, and you tried several times to pass the wheel tax, and now you're going to try to pass 2. So, you know, why are we obsessed with levying a tax against every citizen of this county? I know it says, well, it's a fair tax. I can tell you somebody that's really cheering for this, and that is every property tax owner that does not live in this county. So in my neighborhood, that's up to 70% of my neighbors that are cheering for a wheel tax because they don't live here, so they're not going to pay a wheel tax anyway. And the other thing to consider is they don't vote either. A mineral tax, you know, that's only going to affect the folks that are buying or using that product. That doesn't mean that you're going to be, every citizen in this county, or even most of them, will be affected by that tax. There's been some comments about it affecting the zinc mines. Well, it specifically says gravel, limestone, and sand. It does not, it specifically exempts zinc. Then there were some comments about the mine in Smith County. That mine in Smith County has opened and closed several times, regardless of whether or not it had a severance tax attached to it. And in fact, it had been in existence for several years before before it closed the last time. And in fact, according to the Chronicle, the owner says, according to the Carthage Chronicle, says significantly weaken market conditions and inflationary impacts on input costs and conditions, and the credit crisis is the result of their closing. Nowhere did it mention having any sort of tax involved in while they closed. Some other thing that could be considered, again, as you well know, hotel motel tax right now stands at 4%. Most counties in the state are at 7%. And that would only affect people that come here and visit. That would not affect nearly any resident in this county. Short-term rentals, I've talked about it at length. Again, that will only affect the people who do not live in this county. So essentially, we would get non-residents paying our taxes for us. And none of those vote, and none of them really care what the tax levy is, because they're here on vacation to enjoy themselves. And that is no different from what any other county around here is doing already. As far as the severance tax goes, it is, to hit that mineral tax again real quick, is that 75% of the counties in this state already have a mineral tax, and it ain't putting anybody out of business. Thank you.
Next, we have Amy Fox.
Hi, Amy Fox. Thank you for allowing me to speak. The wheel tax has been brought up numerous times over the past year. It just doesn't understand why this seems to be the only option for funding. The mineral taxes, the short-term rentals, things that have been presented that do not impact everybody in this county. I had a boss at one point in time that told me, if you come to me with a problem, come to me with a solution. The problem is the budget shortfalls. And the state of the current economy has probably every household in this county in a budget shortfall. So is the wheel tax really the solution that we're looking for? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Bruce Kent.
I'm here to also talk about the wheel tax, and I want to address this false narrative that I keep on hearing at these meetings that renters don't pay tax. So let's do the wheel tax and get money out of them. Well, anyone who believes that has never taken a basic economics class, has probably never heard of Adam Smith, trickle-down economics, because if you raise the landlord's property tax, he's going to pass it down to the renter. And I'd just like to say, Ronald Reagan in the 1980s looked at a Democrat-controlled House of Representatives and Senate and says, you do not have a revenue problem, you have a spending problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Douglas Sayers. Turn the clock on next time.
Correct that.
All right, Douglas Sayers, I'm from the 5th District. I'm here to speak about what I believe is a revenue issue in this county. You've heard that in front of you, for you, the body, my citizens. I'm going to talk to you in a minute. For the first minute, I'll talk to the body that we've elected. I emailed you my read ahead 2 days ago. I proposed amendment for a $50 wheel tax. You have 2 resolutions. Some of the citizens may not know what you've done. I think you've done a good job. I'm going to tell you that. I think you're here civilly trying to communicate and do effective and efficient government, and that's very important. But you have a revenue issue in this county, and I think it's important that you have diversity of revenue. If I look at your agenda, you are trying to do that. You have one member proposing a 25, one member proposing a 35. You have one member that's done research on a mineral tax, looking at the roads. You have your whole delegation trying to tell our Tennessee state delegation to adjust the Tennessee law for the real estate taxes, and you're also trying to adjust the commercial taxes on Airbnb. So you are trying, and I'll commend you on that, and you're not just trying to get funding from just our property taxes, and I commend you on doing that. And now, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I'll turn your back, and I'm going to talk to the citizens here a little bit.
here's your issue. They have a revenue problem. They spent about a month or 2 months trying to get the will tax. They have character, they have principles. They cannot agree. That's okay. No decision is a decision. If they do not make a decision on passing a budget, a decision will be made. You live in Jefferson County. It is a county and a state. State budgets have to be balanced. By not balancing this budget, Nashville's going to come here and talk to Mr. Chair, and Mr. Chair is going to confirm that he does not have a balanced budget. And that gentleman is going to say, point me to the tax assessor office. I'll be back in 30 minutes. I know your taxes just went up from, say, $1,000 to $2,000. After that 30 minutes, your taxes are going to go up about $400 or $500. They're going to come back to Mr. Chair and say, Mr. Chair, I've solved your situation. Since we cannot balance your budget, there'll be a special assessment going out in about 2 months, and you will pay your $400, and we will have a balanced budget. What I'm proposing is an amendment to a resolution, one of the resolutions, whichever one they choose. This is what you're going to get if you don't do my amendment. You'll get a blank page. What I'm telling them to do is do an allocation table. What I'm telling them to do is I want transparency. I do not want to give $50 to this body without more transparency. They do state audits only on legality. They do not look at waste. An external audit is needed every 5 years. And I want accountability, a referendum on this tax back to the people in 2028. So if you would like to use my amendment wording with a parliamentary procedure, you're welcome to do that, and hopefully it helps you.
Sir,
Thank
you're out of time. Thank you. Next, we have Kathleen Villers. Please come state your name and your address, please.
Good evening. Kathleen Villers, 2202 Arrowhead Drive, Dandridge. Speaking on behalf of myself and other citizens, tonight I'd like to talk about budget, taxes, approvals. Budget. The county has needs. We need money for sheriff's salary, several open positions. We need money to pave roads. Money is necessary, not just from one source, but from multiple sources to fund the county needs. Couldn't we just cut costs? Not easily. I suggest operational reviews can provide insights into possible cost cutting. This would be good guidance, but operational reviews take time and cost money. We have a budget revenue shortfall this year of probably approaching about $2 million right now, meaning not enough revenue to cover and support the needed expenditures. How about just increasing property tax? That $2 million deficit, if it wasn't an allocation, would translate into about an added 8 cents or 6% increase in property taxes. That would be on top of the 6.7% tax increase we had last year. Probably not something that you would all want to do. And I agree, I think you are all trying hard, and we appreciate that. But it is crystal clear we need other revenue sources. Let me talk about a couple of those. First, the mineral severance tax. We need money to pave roads. Many other counties have this tax, about 18 counties in eastern Tennessee. Jeff County is one of the few counties that does not have this tax. Why not? A mineral tax is going to be less than 15 cents a ton, a small amount that won't cause a company to go out of business. Most businesses would pass this on to the buyer. But to the county, those pennies add up. Based on the average of eastern Tennessee counties, this would bring in about $400K a year. I recommend approving the mineral severance tax as one source. Wheel tax. Many other counties have a wheel tax. It's time to address our county's needs over wants. Look at the wheel tax as a stopgap or a bridge until you can get revenue coming in from other sources, such as short-term rentals. I recommend approving the wheel tax, ideally with a sunset in 5 years. Each wheel tax would represent over $1 million in revenue. And also, finally, there's another revenue source that other counties use. A short-term rental resolution is being worked on and will likely gain traction by later in 2025, but it might take a year or two to have revenues ramp up. It's a good source with good revenue potential, several million. In conclusion, in the interim, please vote for the wheel tax and the mineral severance tax, since important needs exist now, or prepare to implement, another increase of at least 6% in property taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Linda McSmith, and Steve, you follow.
Linda McSmith, 3766 Island View Road, Sevierville, but I live in Jefferson County, as you all know. Okay, couple issues. Budget. The school request tonight was put in through the Budget Committee. Part of it you'll see, part of it you won't see. If the school has those funds that they can use on other buildings to do things for them, why has nothing been done to Jeff County Elementary? Think about the last several years. Has there been requests for anything for Jeff County? I don't believe so. I don't recall it. So where are we holding accountability for those monies being spent? How is it reconciled? How is it reported back? Secondly, looking at some of the things related to the wheel tax. I agree with what some of my previous other people have spoken about, and we need to look into other sources of revenue. We are not a balanced budget. If we keep going like this and looking for Band-Aids to fix the problem, it will never go away. People need to sit forward, represent the people, find out what they really want to do, and then come and make those recommendations. We need to look at other ways to get that information up here to the commission. Additionally, the Budget Committee needs mics when they have their meetings. You cannot hear it out in the audience. And there are a lot of very low-speaking people that you just can't hear because they're over here talking like this. And so it doesn't project to anywhere else in the building. So please, if there's a meeting going on, have them mic'd. Also, why is there not better preventative maintenance being done to these schools? Do they not have staff to do it? Do they not have funds to do it? What is going on with their maintenance program? The pictures I've seen are deplorable. And with that being said, if preventative maintenance was being done to that school, it does not show. So what was being done for them? And lastly, what is the status of the ambulance for Chestnut Hill? Last week, we had an individual just outside my neighborhood, our subdivision, and they called for an ambulance. The guy was having a stroke. They called 911. Our guys couldn't respond. They were all over the different counties. Chestnut Hill did respond with one person, is my understanding. It was 45 minutes before they could get an ambulance there. I thought we had agreed to having an ambulance stationed at Chestnut Hill. Is that being done or isn't it being done? Because this man he got helicoptered out. It was over an hour before they responded with the helicopter. That is unacceptable. If that was your family member, what would you say? And don't tell me I bought the property, that's where I live. This is a health and safety issue. Make things work. We're getting really upset again. At least I am. And when I'm upset, I'm hearing it from people around, because I'm on the fire department, I'm in our neighborhood, I hold a community page open for our whole area. Think about it. Don't cut our services.
Steve.
Steve McSmith, 3766 Island View Road, District 8, Parrots Chapel Community. I'm here to offer a compliment. I was watching the evening news on one of our local networks, vicinity of a week or just over ago, one evening, And without a segue, suddenly left a story, went to about 66 seconds worth of crime stats for Jefferson County, the sheriff's department. I said, oh, well, let's see what they have to say. The sheriff's department. The sheriff wasn't named, just the sheriff's department. Last year's 2024 completion, their stats compared to the year before, 2023, burglaries down 45%. 45%. Thefts down 18%, aggravated assault down 19%, robberies down 33%. For a department that struggles and comes in here, and the sheriff appears before the budget committee, and the sheriff appears before the commission and gets grilled and comes up with great responses, honest responses, and tries his hardest to fund his department. And he can still do this. He has people leaving the department because they don't get paid enough. He struggles to find replacements because they can't make enough here. He has to have a masochistic gene in his body somewhere. He has to have a thick skin. They didn't give his name. I want you to know Sheriff Jeff Coffey is your sheriff. And maybe they didn't give his name simply because they recognize the fact that that department is as successful as it is because every single person, underpaid person in that department who are trying to make up for missing links, people that are leaving and not being replaced, they're doing their jobs and they're doing them well. And they're taking care of us. They're a gift to Jefferson County. So think about it when you're working with this budget. We're starting way deep in a hole again. Try to give the sheriff's department what the sheriff's department needs. Sheriff Jeff Coffey. And thanks to every single person that works for him because they're all doing the job. And they deserve a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Marge Stefanik, and I do believe Ms. Canada Faker will be speaking for her.
Okay, this is from Marge Stefaniak. I'm deeply proud of my local public school district, our educators, our students, and administrators, and believe that strong public schools are foundational for strong communities. I also know our local schools are struggling to make ends meet on shoestring budgets. At the same time, out-of-state billionaires are yet again pouring millions of dollars into Tennessee to pass a universal private school voucher program, which would funnel critical funding away from county budgets and into private schools. Governor Lee's Education Freedom Scholarship Act failed last year due to overwhelming opposition from parents, educators, and administrators, with over 70 local school boards passing resolutions against the bill. This year, we are calling on our city and county funding bodies to support our local school districts and to say no to Governor Lee's voucher scam. Parents, administrators, and educators know what is needed to improve our local schools. We need reduction in high-stakes testing, more support staff for teachers, smaller class sizes, improved building infrastructure, additional support for students with learning disabilities, improved access to early childhood education for working families, and more. We cannot meet the needs of our district if all our tax dollars are being spent to subsidize voucher schemes that would primarily benefit the families who already send their children to private schools while devastating our public schools. Please consider working with your peers to pass a resolution in opposition to expanded private school vouchers.
Thank you. Next, we have Jeff Sams.
Okay, I have Jeff's as well. So Jeff lives on Oak Grove Road. He was 4-year active duty and over 17 years federal civil service. His parents both died within 2024, and he moved back to the family farm, which is multi-generational. And I'm just giving you that as an aside because I know the person. He says, "Hello, my name is Jeff Sams, and I'm a new resident of Dandridge. I just wanted to take this opportunity to say a few words of praise for your new Veterans Service Officer, Miss Marissa Gilliam King. I recently visited her office to seek help with a mountain of VA paperwork. Miss Gilliam King was a consummate professional, extremely knowledgeable, and organized to a T. For the first time in all my years dealing with the VA, I had a pleasant experience working with a VSO. Miss Gilliam King is a real asset to your community. Sincerely, Jeff Sams.
Thank you. Last but not least, we have Mike Foley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. Mike Foley, 318 Oak Vista Drive in Dandridge. There is a great opportunity in the resolutions before you tonight. 2025-11. Last year, your support of eminent domain legislation resulted in additional protection for Tennessee property owners. Please continue that support by passing this resolution to enhance due process for property takings. 2025-10. The mixture of permitted uses in the A1 district continues to be a source of problems for the Planning Commission. Please pass this resolution to move uses such as campgrounds, travel trailer, and RV parks to more appropriate zoning districts. Revenue appears in many of these resolutions, and for good reason. Our county needs new sources of income. Success will depend on these new sources working together. 2025-01. Joining other counties to request the Tennessee General Assembly return half of the real estate transfer taxes collected here is a good place to start. Please pass this resolution. 2024-31. Will a mineral severance tax result in lost jobs? It's an important question. Nyerstar's Middle Tennessee mines in Smith County have been cited as an example. Although there have been closures, they have been temporary and in response to depressed metal prices, not the imposition of a tax. Over 70% of Tennessee's 95 counties collect this tax, including Smith County. Please pass this resolution. 2025-08 and 09. Two wheel tax proposals at the same time is especially challenging for you. Here are some thoughts. Number one, any new wheel tax should exclude citizens enrolled in the Tennessee Property Tax Relief Program, as we do for some of our veterans. Number two, if a new wheel tax is intended to provide short-term funding until other new taxes gain traction, passage of the resolutions mentioned earlier becomes essential. Number three, directly funding maintenance of effort expenses with a wheel tax that sunsets seems risky. It would be better to use the tax to cover other expenses. This could free up funds to be used for county employee raises. Number four, the existing wheel tax is budgeted to collect $1.15 million this year. It's been collected for 25 years, and there is no sunset date. The funds are exclusively for construction and renovation of the schools or for retirement of school bonds. Considering our current challenges balancing the budget, a new wheel tax should be used for other purposes. In closing, the time has come to discuss our differences, find common ground, and take action. Meeting the challenges before us demands nothing less. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll move right along to the approval of notaries and bonds. You have before you the names that were handed out. Everyone, please vote. 17 yes, 0 no, passed. Next, we have nominating committee, Mr. Randy Bales.
Yes, we had some talks on the industrial development board that's coming open, and we have.
Is your microphone on, Randy? Make sure it's on.
We had some open positions coming up on the Industrial Development Board, and Jeff Depew, Steve Hammer, and Chris Myers were nominated or were chosen by us to go ahead and fill those positions. And then the library board, I'm not sure we do much with that, but they were brought to us, the names Joseph Payne, Rose Mays, and Matt Cohen to fill those positions.
Question or comment? Not hearing any, proceed to vote. Terry. 17-0 passes. Next, we'll move right along to reports of elected officials. County Mayor Mark Potts. Sir.
No other comment unless you need something special from the work session.
Is there a question or comment before we proceed? Mr. Doctor.
Mayor Potts, you might be able to answer these, you might not, but I wrote 3 things down. Is anyone, it's my understanding that there's been some, it's my understanding there's been some recent changes to the so-called sheds on Jim Henry Road, and that it was, the county approved that it be broken up into 2 lots. Can you, or is there anyone here that can give everyone here an update on what the current status of that property is?
I don't know. I haven't been informed of that, but I can check into it, but I don't know what the status is, unless somebody here on planning, or is it in the planning office?
It has not come before planning.
Yeah, so I don't know of any action that's been taken.
Well, if you wouldn't mind, it'd be so kind, if you could check on that and send the commissioners an email.
Yeah.
I know I can distribute to the people who I know who are concerned.
Yeah, I'll check on it tomorrow and try to get an email out on it.
On the Miss McSmith's point on the ambulance, I know used to we had normally had 7 ambulances on call.
Right.
This new one should have been 8. There's a protocol that where as ambulances go into service, other ambulances start getting pulled towards the center of the county. I'm sure you're well familiar with that. So for you in the audience, if the county gets down to there's only one ambulance available, it'll probably, I believe, be sitting at the co-op across from my high school because that's the center of the county.
Usually not long either.
So I would hope with the addition of this ambulance, that protocol got adjusted such that an ambulance can stay at Station 4 longer.
I'm no longer intricately involved in the EMS movement anymore. I know what the protocol is. I do know on a regular basis, every day, I see a request for people to go out. Short staff, so that puts them down ambulance. I don't know whether they get them. I see it's almost a daily thing. I can almost set my clock back. Need somebody to work May 12, somebody do this. What happened in that particular incident, I don't know the details. Another thing that's affecting ambulances, and Brad's not here. I was gonna hand that off to him.
Well, all I wanted to ask you, would you ask him to come to our April meeting?
I will, and he was here at the work session.
And,
so.
and share the old protocol, new protocol, and address some of these things.
So let me tell you real quick, one thing that's creating longer times on ambulances. In the ER, when they take a patient in, they're having to stay there anywhere from 1, 2 to 3 hours with a patient tied up on our stretcher because they can't offload on the ER. So I saw a thing today on a local hospital that says they're on critical divert, don't bring them here. So that means it's a problem that's been acknowledged. It's a problem when EMS comes around, you go in, and I really feel for people because I spend a lot of time with EMS. I'd hate to have to think I had to sit on one of them stretchers for 2 hours waiting at UT or Fort Sanders, at a local hospital that you couldn't be offloading. So the hospital's acknowledged the problem, which makes a backlog for the truck that needs to get back to Chestnut Hill or the trucks that move. Can't get there. What happened in this incident, we'll ask Mr. Phillips to come back.
Well, my last one, and again, Mr. Phillips can address this, but in a separate call other than the one Miss McSmith was talking about, we had a patient, Chestnut Hill first responders had a patient at the foothills of English Mountain, steep area. There's just no way you're going to get an ambulance there. And we were prepared, if necessary, to bring that patient out in a 4-wheel drive vehicle and get that patient to the ambulance. Now, at the end of the day, the patient refused treatment, refused to be transported, so we go back in service, and lo and behold, the ambulance slides off the road going back to the station, and we pull it out. So I just wanted to ask Brad, I know we've heard a lot about spending revenue and money, but I'd just like for him to talk about, does he need four-wheel drive ambulances? If he does, how much would he need and what's the cost? And the other thing is, I know Parish Chapel Fire called the road department and asked for some help, because just turning off in and out on Parish Chapel Road is tough. I'm with emergency vehicles and fire trucks.
I can tell you from my experience, they used to have four-wheel drive ambulances. They didn't work out really well. They stopped about as well as two-wheel drive. So all the EMA supervisors have four-wheel drive vehicles that they can potentially get in, get the patient in that vehicle as easier to get in and out, and they've all got winches on them. Used to do some of that on dialysis patients when it's solid ice, just use our vehicle, but there's times, and they have other means, like most of the fire departments have some type of ATV to help with.
And that's fine. I just wanted to give him an opportunity to address that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have a clarification question for the mayor, Terry. So do we have 8 ambulances in service now, or is it still 7?
I don't know. I don't think it's a matter of equipment, it's a matter of personnel. 9 ambulances. Just a matter of how many of them are sitting in a hospital trying to offload their patient for hours.
Anyone else, question or comment before we proceed to vote? Seventeen zero passed. Next on the agenda is chairman's comments. All I have for you is don't forget your statement of interest. Yep. Do not forget, has to be filed by the end of the month. Next, we have Circuit Sessions Court, Kevin Poe, Memorial.
Do you have any questions?
Is there a question or comment before we proceed to vote? And
Remind them how much, Kim. Or not to exceed.
Long or short form, I'm here at your pleasure. Last year, August, the responsibility for the Law Library Fund was transferred to me. Discussion with Ms. Elder, we reviewed the fund and found that since 2010 to 2014, 20 people had accessed that at a cost of $130,000 to the county. We stopped that wasteful spending within 30 minutes of the review, and I recommended that less than 1 year's funding of that at a cost of $10,000 be used for a memorial at the Justice Center for public safety. You asked me to solicit what the cost would be, and my answer is at or below $10,000.
is there a question or comment? Is that exactly what we're voting on? I haven't read the resolution.
There's no resolution.
There is none? Okay, you're good.
I didn't make a motion. I came here, I made a presentation. You have to look back at what happened or how it got here.
Make a motion to help the fund memorial. You guys agree? Or you want the money from? Well, he said he was getting from the library.
Is that accurate?
The law libraries kind of went away. You have to.
Do we have those? Can we spend it on that? They're restricted funds.
I think you'll have to come out of the
I think
fund
it's
balance.
general fund 101 fund balance.
It would have to be fund balance.
Okay, then, we're gonna have to come out of general fund 101, fund balance. Up to, you said 10,000?
At or below $10,000.
Okay.
And then I guess I would ask in your motion what you want me to do after this, because we kind of talked about it, like, as far as action, do you want me to solicit a PO from the finance department and like go forward, or what is this vote gonna do?
I want you to solicit a,
This will secure your funding.
yeah,
Okay.
some funding and go forward with it.
Is that all you need? Fantastic. Thank you.
Ronnie Coleman.
Kevin, has there been any contact with the FOP? Because they've been soliciting donations for probably a year or longer now for the same purpose.
I think longer, and it's been Shane Hanshew, who is the president, has had probably 10 meetings with me. My Commissioner Coleman referenced the FOP. Internally, they have solicited funds for the Fraternal Order Police and a memorial for police officers. And that's a fantastic organization, and it has a broad approach to law enforcement. My presentation, and by and through the FOP, I don't know how the FOP moves or what they do, if they approach the county commission and secure property or what. Mine is specifically for the public safety that is not covered by the FOP and that memorial. So in the planning with Shane Hanshew, who last time I spoke, is he the president of the FOP?
Yes.
Okay, so in conjunction with the FOP and not speaking on their behalf, our memorial allows for expansion for whoever FOP member comes before this body and requests to do whatever on county property. So through me and him, whatever we do today allows for whatever the FOP does, an expansion of that same site. And you'd have to ask Shane about.
Well, I guess another thing is the FOP has better than $10,000 to go toward that memorial. So, I think it's something that we need to work together on and maybe use those funds to do the whole project.
I mean, might get Shane here and ask him that question. I don't know. I'm speaking on behalf of public safety and securing a site for those not covered by the FOP. And then again, if I'm sure Shane would be able to report to you the meetings that and discussions that we've had. But yes, if the question is, do we use the FOP's funds to fund this memorial? Absolutely. I mean,
Mr. Gregg.
Well, it sounds like we have two good programs. And we can make, if we go make a bigger memorial to honor both groups of people, there's nothing wrong with that. It sounds like it's pretty much going to be covered with what I proposed and with what you said. They're equal funding, it sounds like about 10,000 apiece, which is not bad for having the memorial for Fraternal Order Police and first responders.
Well, I could say the grant's already been purchased by the FOP, and it's sitting in the impound lot at the Sheriff's Department.
yeah, I looked at it. There is a piece of granite. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. There's several judges' names that are not on it.
Yeah.
There's some personnel from the 911 office that are not on that piece of granite. So I just want to make sure that the people that sacrificed their life for this county are memorialized, and whatever teamwork we need to work with, I'm all in.
You ready, Greg?
I read.
We have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Thank you, sir. Seventeen zero, it passes. Next, we have Highway Department, Joe Patterson, a vote on roads. Hang on just a second here so we can catch up. Is there a question or comment? Joe, do you have anything to add? We shall proceed to vote. We got a motion? Who made the motion? Got a motion by Austin Brooks and second by Rob Levins. Passes 17-0.
And we got a second one for the removal of returning of Harrison Ferry Road.
Okay, we've got another vote in the Highway Department for returning Harrison Ferry Road. Is that how you? Return to landowner? Is that all of them? Passes 17-0. That will conclude the Highway Department's business. Next, we have Budget Committee.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. First is a General Fund 101 Amendment 6 is a CDGB grant left over from 2021 on some ambulances, clearing up all of that. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Proceed to vote. Seventeen zero, sir.
Next, we have General Fund 101 Budget Amendment number 7. Now, in your packet on item 1, for EMS taking in the grant, it was requested a change in it, and it went through the Budget Committee. So you all need to make a note that that is 413 drugs and medical supply rather than 79 other equipment. This is a lengthy amendment, 1 through 29. It uses $57,288 and change in fund balance and a reserve balance of $102,852 and change. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Mr. Brooks.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I request that item 6 be voted on separately from this budget amendment and that item 28 be voted on separately from this budget amendment.
Is there any objection? All right, so move it, Mr. Chairman. 1 through 29 minus 6 and 28.
You'll be voting on 1 through 29 minus 6 and 8.
28.
28.
Is that correct? Mr.
Yes, sir.
Motion. So that's 17-0. Sir.
Item 6, ADA transfers out of ADA funds, expenditure line for Americans with Disability Improvements to County Annex. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Mr. Brooks.
Mr. Chairman, I voted against this in Budget Committee, and I'm asking my commissioners to join me in voting against it here. $72,000 for a sidewalk seems a bit steep to me, so I'm asking that the commission vote no on this item. That is the sidewalk behind the mayor's office over next door.
Would you like to address that, Mr. Mayor? What is all the things?
We have an ADA architect. This is the figure he came back. This is not our figure. He comes in, it's sidewalk, placing sidewalk, adding a handicap space, fixing some sewer that's not attached to Dandridge that's included. So the way you normally do it, you get a price from the architect, they put it out to bid, Mr. Brooks' valid point is you put it out for 71,000, guess what the bid's gonna come back at? So, I don't, that's the explanation I have.
Next, we have Terry Dockery.
Miss Jessie, you remember the previous commission allocated money towards some of the priorities on AD&A. And the finance director was given the authority to authorize the work, provided the cost was then the scope of work estimate. Does this fall into that category?
This wasn't, I think are you doing the transitional plan?
Yes.
Okay. This does not fall into that category. County annex, which is what we're running through right now, was priority number 1, and it was $30,500. I'm not sure what included in that, because this was done a long time ago, several years ago.
That's the partners. Remember when partners did the study?
Yeah, well,
The amount that they wrote down there, $30,500.
and that was several years ago. And we all know what inflation's done.
Over 3 years ago, for sure.
Thank you.
Jim Snodgrass.
Yep. So, Mayor, could you share with us once more, I know you did in the Facilities Committee, but what that room, what this would actually provide access to?
The lower portion of the annex now houses a lot of records that come from archives, records that can be seen. No handicap entrance into that. If you've ever been back, it's a stoop, it's a step, concrete's failing, it's in bad shape. So it needs to be an ADA entrance for anyone that needs to go in there and see those records. So there needs to be a ramp, and so the architect drew a conceptual plan for the whole thing. So that's the reason. And if the county ever wanted to use that for any other purpose, you're still gonna have to be ADA compliant to get in there.
So it's not urgent, based on what Ms. Jessie just said, wasn't identified as urgent 4 or 5 years ago when that list was first produced. So there'll be nothing wrong with taking another shot at it and see if we can get a sidewalk for 40 or 50,000 bucks.
No problem. It's just,
So-
I think the tear out and doing the ramp, and they were gonna add a handicapped parking space to connect to it. So,
All right, and you're not getting, how many calls you get to come in to the records room on a month?
just the archives is going in and out right now, so,
Okay,
but yeah,
so it's not urgent.
no.
Not hearing anybody else, we'll proceed to vote.
Are we voting on the 71,000?
$71,892 for,
Yes, a yes vote would approve it, a no vote is to strike it.
Got 3 yes, 14 no's. It's tracked.
Number 28, Mr. Chairman, budgeted funds used from fund balance for zoning compliant office position adjustments for fiscal year 24-25 due to the zoning officer on medical leave. This request of the mayor. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Brooks.
Mr. Chairman, a question for the mayor. So would this, is this promoting Stephanie into the zoning compliance officer position? Is that
At
correct?
this time, until
Okay.
his retirement, we're still having to pay the previous, because they haven't reached, they will reach retirement. So these funds is not to what the level he was, is to give an increase for the work that she's doing for the rest of this year. But there's no funds in the budget because we're having to pay someone who is not working. We don't have a choice in that. So that's where we're at.
Has this gone before Personnel Committee?
No, it's not. It's under the mayor.
Okay. I would prefer this to go under the Personnel Committee. I realize it may not have to, but I'd feel more comfortable, because I think there's going to be some other things coming out of our zoning office next Tuesday at our Planning Commission meeting regarding the sheds.
Mr. Jim Snodgrass.
So, sorry, I wasn't aware of what was going on there. Is it a temporary change, and then that money will be removed once the other position is filled full-time?
That money will just finish out this year and it will not be added. It's just to finish this year out because we have two people and one person working.
I understand that.
One's out on the medical, I don't know what but one can't work.
So when the position is filled, I guess Pop's position, if he doesn't return,
It doesn't change that budget.
I understand, but will this person's pay go back to the current level since that work will be redistributed?
Unless this person takes the directorship, if that person becomes a director, then they go to the salary, then that opens up a position for.
Okay. So is that clear in the motion that this is a temporary pay adjustment while taking on those additions?
Yes, it is. It's an interim salary supplement is what it ends up being. Because you're paying two people. One is on medical, and that particular person still has to be paid. And to pay the interim, the mayor is requesting a salary supplement for that position, but it's freeing up another position that he is working on for
codes.
So part of this is, help me out, Miss Jessie, there's an element in there on the other position that has to be covered on insurance.
For family coverage?
Yes, on the.
If they need it, we figure it whether they need it or not.
So the way we worded it, we just worded it adjustments for the remaining of this fiscal year.
Right.
This is not creating a new position in there.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm just
And it's
asking,
not-
is it an interim?
It's an interim
It's an
salary
interim-
supplement.
Okay.
And it's not the full amount that the director was making. It's,
I understand.
so,
Yeah.
Mr. Reed?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, one of my concerns is, and I think some of our citizens have brought this out, that we need to be proactive in the future. I think a department head in the zoning department is extremely important, and I think we should make sure that when it comes time to find someone, that we get the input from the now present department head, and we really take time to interview people that are going to be able to fully take care of that position, to act in that position. I don't know exactly how the person you're talking about would fill in at that position at this time. I just have doubt with that, and I think we as commission should get more involved when it comes to personnel. We respect the mayor. Normally, we agree with the mayor, but we really need to start being transparent within this commission, whatever affects the citizens of this county. So I really can't support this at this time. Thank you.
Katie Hillbaker.
Okay, I have a question for the mayor. If this is an interim, one day when you deem you want to have your permanent replacement, does it come back around that the person you select or the mayor has complete control with this selection of this employee? Does that make sense?
no, it falls under the mayor by.
So you don't go through the personnel
No, not on
committee
this.
anyway?
No, not on this one.
Okay. And if it's interim, you can decide at the time when you have to have the person who's going to fill the role. But this
So,
is just an interim.
We're kind of financially bound at this time because you don't want to put another director in there at a director's salary until we get to that point of a retirement and there's actually a position available. This is an interim temporary to fill that position, not at the full salary, but until we get to that point.
Okay, thank you.
We shall proceed to vote.
Could you repeat the motion, please? I pressed the button to speak, which I don't want to now, but.
And I didn't see it.
It's a recommendation from Budget Committee, so.
Okay.
So
It's a
recommendation, Budget Committee for a interim salary supplement
Okay,
for the remaining fiscal year of 24-25.
gotcha.
Fourteen yes, 3 no, passes, Mr. Mayor.
All right, next is General Fund 101, number 8. Unassigned comes from unassigned fund balance. This came through the Budget Committee, quite a bit of discussion, but it's a request from the Sheriff's Department for $600,000 for medical and dental expenditure for inmate medical expenses. Miss Jessie, this is a negotiated amount after it was negotiated down from 900 and,
It was almost $1 million, and I called and begged and pleaded, and we've gotten a 65% discount with, the healthcare systems that we have invoices outstanding with at this point, so, I believe the sheriff is here if anyone has any questions.
does anyone have any questions for Sheriff Coffey? But this is for medical expenses to pay inmate medical expenses. Already incurred.
They're already incurred, and we have 2 large outstanding ones that we're hoping, so the actual invoices that we have on hand are a little over 500,000, and I'm hoping, the next 2 outstanding ones come in under 100,000. So this recommendation of 600,000 will cover those. My understanding though, it is for a state inmate, so this will be, sent off to the state for reimbursement, and we'll see how much they will reimburse us for.
Mr. Brooks, I think we got you crossed up here. You speak next, and Ronnie Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. During the discussion in Budget Committee, it was brought up that there are potential other bills that this county has paid that we could go to the state and ask to be paid back for. And I believe our circuit court clerk and our sheriff are going to be working together to sort that out. And I just felt like the full commission needed to know that, the discussion we had in Budget Committee. But my understanding is we don't have any choice but to pay the bill. So I yield.
Mr. Ronnie.
Long story short, the monies we owe, we have to pay. There's no way around it, correct?
Correct.
That's all I got.
We shall proceed to vote. Seventeen yes, 0 no. Mr.
General
Clark.
Fund 101, Amendment Number 9. Budget funds received from East Tennessee Foundation grant into the correct expenditure line. So move it, Mr. Chairman, $75,000.
Proceed to vote. Seventeen zero, sir.
Next, Highway Fund 131, Amendment 2. So move it, Mr. Chairman, uses reserve balance of $22,152.
We shall proceed to vote. Seventeen zero, sir.
Capital Fund 171, Amendment 3. 1 through 5, Budget Funds, American Disability Act. You'll see that this is the other side of that one, and since it failed, it will be struck on number 1. Please make that correction. So you're voting on 2 through 5. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Question? Not hearing any, proceed to vote. Seventeen zero, sir.
Landfill 207, Amendment Number 2. $200,000 budgeting fund from fund balance due to engineering costs, and permit modifications for disposal fees. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Proceed to vote. Seventeen zero, sir.
Fund 141, budget amendment number 5. This one was one that was added, went through at our special meeting. TISA payments, $152,001. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Proceed to vote.
Mr. Scarlett, would you please repeat the, what we're voting on?
This is TISA revenue coming in. Budget amendment number 5.
Item 1?
One item only.
Okay, yeah, that was in the packet.
Yeah.
This isn't what we just discussed in the budget meeting.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, okay, all right,
It's what you
sorry.
voted on over.
Yeah.
Proceed to vote, please. Seventeen zero, pass.
Fund 141, general purpose, budget amendment number 6, a request. This request was changed. Items 2 through 4 were struck. It leaves one item only, unassigned fund balance capital, $1,968,000 for roof replacements and repairs. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Shall proceed to vote when we get there. Terry Docker.
Excuse me, this budget amendment request is in the neighborhood of $2 million to do roof replacements at various schools. And I'm all for being proactive and staying ahead, but it feels to me like if we've got $2 million, it needs to be spent at Jefferson Elementary School. The other amendments that didn't pass was about 10.8 million to spend at other schools. So they were roughly asking for 10.8 million to be spent and not towards Jefferson Elementary. So I'm against this. If we have an emergency and something needs to come up, we can replace it. But I think with if they have that 10.8 million, they've already got a million or maybe 3 set aside for Jefferson Elementary. I think when the request comes, county commission can come up with several $1 million, and I think we can get at least in the neighborhood of 20 to 23 million cash to take care of the issues at Jefferson Elementary School. And for everything we've heard about it, I think it ought to be a priority. So I'm against this one. Thank you.
Jim Saunders.
Mr. Chairman, why were items 2, 3, and 4 removed that didn't pass budget?
Did not pass budget.
I understand.
They were struck. So you're one item only. Item 1. $1.968. I was the only one that survived the budget committee.
Mr. Byrd.
I understand it's a project we started on time, right? The first one. You said it was finished with school, but we're not done yet, right?
This would be the end of the major roofing projects.
Okay, so that's what number 1 was. But this should leave, that we can finish up those. Jefferson, I know we need to go to money, but there's over $10 million left that we can use for Jefferson in the 2, 3, and 4, right? That we're not there.
No, sir, there's about 8 million.
Yeah, I mean,
The total
Closer
budget
to
amendment
9.
was a request for, it was a little, almost 9, it was, 10,868,000, so there's a short 9 million.
If item 1 passes, their fund balance will be around $11 million unassigned.
okay. That's what I was curious about that. So we still would have to 9 million, right?
11 million unassigned if this was passed.
If only item number one is passed, it leaves unassigned fund balance of around 11 million.
Okay, well, that's what I was, okay. That's what I think. All right, thank you.
We shall proceed to vote. We have 13 yes and 4 no's. Passes. Sir.
141, general budget amendment number 8, career and technical education, SPARC grant, $4,532 and change. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on just a second.
You said budget amendment 7.
You on 7 or 8?
I'm sorry.
I think you meant 7.
I'm sorry, I've missed one here. Let's go to budget amendment 7.
Yeah. 7's what I've got.
Career and technical education, special education, and transportation, items 1 through 4. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Proceed to vote. Seventeen yes, 0 no, passes.
Now, budget amendment number 8. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Proceed to vote. 17-0. Proceed.
141, budget amendment number 9, items 1 through 6. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Proceed. 17-0, sir.
141, budget amendment number 10.
140.
Sorry,
141,
that's not no.
number 9.
The rules were suspended, last budget committee meeting, and it was added and it was approved. Now,
This is a
that's-
carryover.
If they're not in the packet, they should have been, but 141, number 10, item 1.
Does everybody have budget amendment number 10?
No.
Okay, it is maintenance of plant. It is from an unassigned fund balance. Motion to the school board on 1/9/25 to fund assistant maintenance supervisor position for the remainder of the fiscal year. $37,360. Any questions on it?
Is there a question or comment?
Repeat the amount, please.
$37,360.
Proceed to vote.
It has been approved by the Budget Committee, so move it, Mr. Chairman.
Ransom Douglas. $17-0. Proceed.
142, Federal Fund, Budget Amendment number 5. Items 1 through 4. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Title money.
Question or comment? Proceed to vote. $16-0, 1 abstention.
142, Federal Fund, Budget Amendment number 6. Items 1 and 2, IDEA Part B, Consolidated Title 1. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Proceed to vote. Sir.
All right. Policy 6.8, surplus policy, surplus property policy. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
I've got a travel policy 2.1 or purchasing policy 3.1 before it?
All right, I can get to it. My list is different.
My number one is travel policy 2.1.
All right. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Not hearing a question or comment. Proceed to vote.
All right, purchasing policy 3.1. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Proceed to vote.
Surplus property policy 6.8. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Not hearing any. Proceed. Seventeen zero. Passes. Sir.
Debt management policy 4.3. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Not hearing any. Proceed to vote. Seventeen zero. Passes.
I'm done, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Next, we're down to old business. It's 8 o'clock. We're gonna take a short restroom break. Let's get back in here and we will proceed. This meeting is back to order. First resolution of old business is 2024-31, resolution to levy a mineral severance tax on all sand, gravel, sandstone, chert, and limestone severed from the ground in Jefferson County, Tennessee. We have a motion on the floor. In a second, Austin Brooks and Marcus Reed. Question or comment? Can't hear you talking in the microphone.
Being that it's in 2025, should it not be renumbered for 2025 when it's passed?
It was referred over is what it was. It'll be a 25.
It won't be in the title of it, though.
That's why it still has that 24. We'll have to move it to a new number. That would be, it'd be 40. Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
if we renumber this resolution, it'd be 2025-14.
That'd be correct.
It would be correct because it was rolled from previous.
But it's still the same resolution.
Mr. Scarlett and then Jim Snodgrass.
As I said in the work session, I'm against this because I don't think it's going to create much value. And at least in the 7th district, that mine sitting down there, there's 450 jobs down there. And I would like to at least know exactly what we're risking on 450 jobs. And I'd like to at least know a number on this thing before we start down this road. Because to me, this is a significant risk with what that mine's sitting down there. So does the maker of the motion have any idea what this is going to bring in?
Okay, Mr. Blevins, your motion. Do you have any idea what this tax will levy per year?
Well, Mr. Clerk, if you have the graphic, we can put it up there, and we'll go through it. But if it's not going to make much, I don't know how to get anybody fired either. Let's see.
Hold on just a second.
Which one of them would be closest to? Oh, really?
That's what I'm doing.
Bear with us for just a second.
Let's see, the one with the East Tennessee on it and what the current counties have it are bringing in quarterly. Okay, so people watching on YouTube or whatever at home can't see this very well. We need to address that too, by the way. At some point, Knox County is in the lead of this with $223,542. They just instituted this. This is the first quarter they've had it. Okay? The low on it should be like Claiborne County. It's $45,000. Again, that's $45,000 more than we have, and we should land somewhere in the middle of those. I think more. You heard the highway director say we can't pave 2 miles with the budget they have. 100% of this goes to highway paving, has to. That's what all the other counties use it for. If you can show the other graphic, sir. Oh, Union County there is not on yours. I didn't have the number at the time. It's $89,085.77. Yes, sir.
And I guess the other question I'm still asking is, all of these other counties are gross amounts. They are quarry operations. They are not mining operations, deep mines. Cott County, Greene County, Unicoi, Carter.
I guess the mines don't have to worry about it then, do they? I don't know what you're asking. I don't see how that can in any way hamper a job when it operates other mines and these other.
Well, you sell gross amount on the other mines. They're selling everything they're putting out of there.
Well, if it's
We don't,
$10,000.
Hold it, one at a talk at a time. Ms. Scarlett, you got the floor, Blevins can answer.
ag lime is exempt. Zinc can't be taxed. So the only thing left is stone. So I'm asking for that little amount, what are we putting at risk?
It would seem like you answered yourself, sir. Nothing. Nothing. They operate just fine in Knox County with those. If it doesn't affect the mines, what you're saying, then what's the problem? We have a new quarry in Piedmont out here that we might get something back from. So, if you ever been behind a rock truck or drove down the roads near the mines or any of these other places, they're destroyed. We can't pave but 2 miles of road, okay? We can't even pave that. We don't want to tax the property owners. We don't want to tax the wheel tax.
Point of order, Chairman. Commissioner Scarlett has the floor.
He sure does.
As I say, based on not knowing what this thing's gonna bring in, I am not gonna put 450 jobs down there in Newmarket at risk. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Snodgrass.
So I'd just like to share my work experiences relative to these mines over the past few years. I worked for 17 years down in Mascot at that industrial park next to the mine, and over that 17 years, we saw these mine jobs ramp up and ramp down. A lot of it driven by it's a commodity product. The biggest ramp up we saw was when China exploded in the mid-2000s, and we lose people to that, and then a few months later they're back because these investment groups got what they wanted out of the mines and then laid everybody off. I think maybe Miss Billers mentioned this is 15 cents per ton. They're going to shut down the mine for that. It's going to be passed on to the customer. Just like right now, those of us that are cattle farmers, we're getting double what we were 2 years ago. Okay, and then we as consumers are going to bear that cost. We're not going to stop eating beef because of that. They're not going to shut down the mine for 15 cents a ton. They're going to pass it on to us or the retailer in between. So again, the mines come and go. Even since I was a kid, people I knew who grew up with in White Pine worked in the mines. They're working and then they're laid off. It's all supply and demand. It's a global driven economy. And then the other piece of good news that would be positive for our mines that are selling the rock that they harvest out of that, if this big announcement we're getting from our new administration tomorrow about an infrastructure explosion, that could be increased demand on that as well. And one more experience down to what was mentioned last week's meeting. A couple years ago, I was running a staffing firm, and we supplied to the mine just inside of Knox County and also to the one here in Strawberry Plains, upwards to 100 positions or so. Anyway, that was progressing well, and this was in late 2022, and that mine in Gordonsville was open because they were asking us to open an office down there and consider supplying staff there. So I'm not sure about the closure that was presented last week, but it's basic economics. If that baseline input goes up, they're not going to stop producing. They're going to pass that on to the customer and keep product rolling. So, and I appreciate John Neal's concern. I mean, there's a lot of good jobs there, pay well, but again, it's 15 cents a ton. They're not going to shut down a factory or a mining operation over that. So, thank you.
Okay, I've tried to do my due diligence on this researching. It's a hazy gray topic to me, and it's difficult to make a decision, so I can see why there's debate on both sides. But I just wanted to give some information that I found while doing research. So in East Tennessee, NISTAR has 3 mine locations. One's Emmel, which is in Knox County. One's Coy, Jefferson County. Third one's Young Mine, Jefferson County, but they're all processed in Jefferson County. Knox County implemented the mineral tax in 2022, so one of those 3 locations has a mineral tax associated with it. NISTAR processes for zinc. The zinc's not taxed. The byproducts are ag lime, which the agriculture is not taxed, and the sales agents, Tennessee Valley Resources. The other byproducts, rock, which is what the debate is associated with the mines, and the sales agent is Mossy Creek Mining. The mineral tax goes to the roads. Is the tax unpredictable with revenue? Yes, but it all goes to the roads. Is it a problematic tax? I was asked. It's self-reported from the companies, and the money comes back to the county, so it's not going to cost us money to oversee it. NISTAR is the 3rd largest non-government employer in our county with around 450 employees. The prices of zinc rise and fall periodically. You can get online and you can find tables to see what years they rise and fall. I don't know what causes the pattern, but it's a global commodity, and the price is based on supply and demand across the world. The mines reduce production periodically, which is based on the pricing and what the companies are making for the zinc. As far as the rock, I was trying to determine the increase of product sales for the NISTAR rock, but it's hard to do because they sell it at wholesale cost, which makes a difference from retail, because I can find retail, but I can't find wholesale. 10 months out of last year, rock was not sold from Mossy Creek Mining. The Jefferson County mines don't have germanium or gallium resources, which is something they're looking for currently at Gordonsville. Jefferson County processing plant has more than 2 times the capacity to process than Gordonsville. The difference this time we're voting on it that I see is Piedmont is producing rock. So that's just some information.
Who is next? Call the question. The question has been called. We shall proceed to vote.
And we're voting on the call for the question, all right?
Yeah.
Voting on the call, not the rest.
Should be the call.
Voting on the motion, we call for the question.
No, wait a minute. You better get behind me there. No, we're voting on the question. It's the call we don't have to vote on.
Okay, so you're voting on the motion.
We're voting on the actual motion. Yes if you're for it, no if you're against it. You have 10 yeses, 7 noes. Takes 14 votes to pass this tax. It fails. Next, we have Resolution 2025-01, resolution requesting the 114th session of the Tennessee General Assembly to allocate 1/2 of the real estate transfer tax to the county where the tax is collected on a reoccurring basis. Terry Dockery.
Chairman, I'd just like to say the numbers for the numbers on the bills for the House and the Senate have not been assigned yet. So I'd like to include, if this commission approves the resolution, I'd like for it to be with the understanding that once those numbers have been assigned, the mayor's office may be permitted to insert those bill numbers into the resolutions. If anyone has any questions, is David Seal, you still here? Do you have anything?
I believe Mr. Dockery
Okay, sorry.
This bill does have sponsor in the Senate and the House, so.
Okay, thank you.
We shall proceed to vote. (17-0) pass. Next, we have Resolution 2025-02, a resolution to apply for a Tennessee Community Development Block Grant as set forth in Title I of the Housing Community Development Act of 1974. Not hearing a question or comment, we'll proceed to vote. (17-0) passed. C, we have Resolution 2025-03, a resolution declaring as surplus and to authorize the Danridge Library of Jefferson County to surplus and dispose said equipment. We shall proceed to vote.
I have a request to speak. Just to make sure we follow proper procedure, we just earlier passed a surplus property resolution. Should we follow, and I'm good either way, should we vote on these or should we follow that policy?
We emailed out within the county to see if anybody would want to take items prior.
Has it gone to the school board and then has it gone to the fire departments and rescue squad?
Not yet, that policy hadn't passed at that time.
But it has now, so my question is now,
Follow policy.
so do we need to vote on these three or follow that policy?
Either way, they have to dispose them from their asset list, and then they would surplus them to, I don't think, is anybody selling? I don't think anybody's selling any items.
Parliamentarian, can I get your opinion?
I would make it, if I was doing it, I would make this contingent upon following that policy.
That needs to be an amendment.
Yes.
I'd like to amend the motion to approve all three of these contingent upon following that policy.
Question or comment? We shall proceed to vote. (17 yes, 0 no). So, as amended. You want to take all three of them together? Because we've done voted on one of them.
Started to say it'd be hard to do that.
We'll just go ahead and take them one at a time. Next, you have D, Resolution 2025-04, resolution declaring surplus to authorize the Register of Deeds, Jefferson County, to surplus and dispose said equipment. Got a motion and a second. Proceed to vote.
Would Mr. Dockery need to amend this one? Do we need to do it item by item?
Well, that was my point.
Well, yeah, I'd like to amend this one the same manner.
I'll include that in the motion, yes.
Just include it in the motion.
And guess what I'm gonna do on the next one?
That was my thinking a while ago. That's why I was trying to do them all three together. So you just do one. (17-0) pass. Next, you have Resolution 2025-07, resolution declaring surplus to authorize the Parrottwood Memorial Library of Jefferson County to surplus and dispose said equipment. He made the motion.
He's good with the amendment, he said.
Right. We shall proceed to vote. 17-0. Next, we have F, Resolution 2025-08, a resolution authorizing an additional motor vehicle privilege tax and providing for the deposition of the proceeds thereof. This is Commissioner Reed's resolution. Is there a question or comment? Not hearing any, we'll proceed to vote.
You've got to get a motion in the
No,
second.
we gotta have a motion. Heidi, what was you going to say? Wait for the motion, please. Is there a motion on the floor? Fails for lack? I wasn't seeing anything. Oh, okay. Oh, there it is. I got you now. Marcus Reed made the motion. Janet Norton seconded it. Mr. John Neal Scarlett.
This wheel tax to take the proceeds and put into a reoccurring expense and to put this into something that maintenance of effort is a bad idea. And therefore, I cannot support this.
Okay, anybody else? Question or comment, anybody else? Mr. Reed?
We need to do something, okay? I respect what Mr. Sayers had to say. I think he has great ideas in his paper that he presented to us. We need to do something. We cannot continue allowing our employees not to be taken care of. This is written so you, as commission, working with the department heads to come to agreement so we can do something to help retain sheriff deputies, 911 dispatchers, and other members of the county side of the house. If anyone looks at what Mr. Sayers has done and wants to amend something, the floor is open. But we are basically going to do the same thing when we look at the next resolution coming up. So it's time to either do something for the county or not. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We shall proceed to vote. You have 6 yes, 11 no's, fails. Next, we have G, Resolution 2025-09, a resolution authorizing an additional motor vehicle privilege tax and providing for the deposition of the proceeds thereof. This is Commissioner Huffaker and Commissioner Dockery's motion. Is there a motion on the floor and a second? Katie Huffaker and Terry Dockery. Is there a question or comment before we proceed to vote? We have a Greg Bird.
Yes, I'd like to amend this motion to add another 15 cents to make it a $50 wheel tax. And that'll be on cars. And go up the same percentage for the wheel tax from motorcycles. And this extra 15 cents to go straight to the general fund.
$15.
$15 goes to the general fund.
Is there a second on the motion? We will vote. Mr. Austin Brooks.
I just want to confirm, this resolution has no expiration, is that correct?
No expiration. That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
Does he have a dollar amount on motorcycles?
It'd be 30. Ms. Huffaker, the dollar amount on motorcycle does average out to 30.
Okay, you telling me? I don't know, he said the same percent, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
It'd be the same. Jim Snargus.
So I'm not in favor of a no expiration date. Okay, I've heard this since I was a kid about will taxes go on forever, and all it serves is a crutch. We talk about missing meetings for these other short-term rentals, and it's just a cushion. Okay, if we put that out there too long, then we're going to lose the sense of urgency to get other revenue streams started. Okay, so why not own up to it and put a 3-year limit on this and get busy with getting these other things pushed through instead of just an open-ended policy? Have some courage, put an ending on it, and let's get to work on these other things. That's it.
Mr. Reed,
I would like to amend the motion.
we're on an amendment.
I would like to amend this motion that if this wheel tax is approved,
I'm sorry, you can't, we're on. You're wanting to amend an amendment or a motion?
which amendment are we on right now? Which
Okay,
one
we are
amending?
voting on an amendment to the original motion.
Okay.
So if you want to amend the original motion, wait just a second, let's see if it
I
passes.
tried a while ago when we were still in discussion and it didn't come up on the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry, turn around
Thank
and
you.
wave at me next time, I'm trying to
Thank
keep
you.
up with everybody.
So we can't amend an amendment?
Yes.
Add something to it?
You can, but
Can, but that's what I was saying, it has to be amended amendment. If it's done now, if it's done after the vote, it'll be.
you can actually,
amendment to the motion.
right.
Well,
You want to amend the amendment?
I'd like to amend the amendment to add that if this is approved, that this goes to the citizens of the county in the 2028 election as a referendum and allow them to vote yes or no on this.
Okay, your motion to amend the amendment is, don't follow, you follow that,
To send it to a referendum in the 2028 election.
right?
2028?
That's what I heard.
2028, yes, that would be the next election where it could be possibly looked at.
2026.
Okay, we got a motion to amend the amendment. Is there a second? Is there a second
You have a second.
to amend the amendment? I'm not seeing it. Okay, I've got a second now. Okay, now we can discuss. Okay, you have there.
Okay, can somebody please clarify what election it could actually go on? What ballot? Because I'm unclear of the year.
The amendment was the 2028 election. That's what's currently on the floor. So it'd be on the 2028 election. That's what the maker of the amendment requested.
And it stays into effect until after the vote,
If it can.
the
Yes.
28 vote. So you have to get through the voting year. So it apply maybe in 2029?
Well, it would, once you lock it in, if it's part of the tax levy, once you lock that in, it's in whatever year you're on.
That's right.
Right, so, okay,
So whatever
2029.
year if they voted, it would be the next budget that come up that either used it or didn't use it.
Okay.
Because once you lock it in, the state don't let you change that. They won't let Miss Jessie pull out a revenue line.
Austin Brooks.
Just wanted to point out, there is an election in 2026. That would be the next election held in this county.
Okay, Greg Bird.
And one thing with, if I understand it right, with no sunset set in this thing, it can go away at any time. You don't have to wait, if it's got a sunset for 4 years, you can't get rid of it till 4 years. This has none, so if it's, you can get rid of it at any time.
County Commission can vote to end it at any moment.
Yes.
So a sunset doesn't really mean.
After the fiscal year that it's being used.
after it's being used.
They can't pull it out of a revenue line once the budget's set.
Yeah.
Because we can only set a budget from year to year. Jim Snargus.
I'm just asking, is that gonna be reality? Everybody needs to think, is that reality that we're gonna come up, we're gonna get it together soon enough and say, hey, we got enough money, let's just go ahead and cancel this wheel tax? That's not reality. All right, we've got to generate more revenue, and this gives us a never-ending cushion if it's not got a sunset time on it. We'll be talking about this 10 years from now.
Katie Huffaker.
I'm done.
Okay, so I think that if there's election in 2026, I don't think that gives enough time to see what the new revenue streams could bring in. So your short-term rentals, there's going to be a bridge you have to get through a few years to determine what it's even going to generate. I think there are some positive things different people are working on to diversify the tax base. But I think if you put it on the 2026 election, that doesn't give enough time to get some of these other revenue streams in place, so you can balance the budget with the dollar amount we're talking about. So what year are we talking about I just want clarification before we vote on what year we're talking about putting it on the referendum.
Maker of the motion asked for 2028. That's
Okay.
what the motion is.
That's what the motion is. Did I cut you off short, Jim? I seen your request to speak come back on. I apologize. I thought you was done. Oh, okay. Janet Norton.
I think Katie had a very valid point that, of course, we didn't vote some of these taxes in today, but with the taxes that we are trying to bring in and bring in this revenue, it does take time for that revenue to actually show up. And so this would give us a bridge between now and then till those revenues come in. And I would rather the people choose whether or not to take it off or put it back on because they're the ones having to pay it. Since I've been a county commissioner over 2 years, I think I've had a total of 5 phone calls. I mean, I'm not hearing from the people enough, just the same 5 people every time. So I would like for the people to have a choice as to whether they want to keep it or get rid of it. And what I've been told by the people who are calling me is they don't want any more property taxes, and I want to see those property taxes come down, and they're all more for this wheel tax. So I think we need to go ahead and do it, get ourselves out of the hole before we end up where we were several years ago. And at that point, if we can cut it out and the people choose to do so, then let them choose.
We shall proceed to vote on the amended amendment.
No,
Did I say that wrong?
you're voting on the amendment to the.
To amend. All right, I thought I said it wrong. Does everyone understand what they're voting on?
But we're voting on Marcus's.
You're voting on Marcus's amendment.
His
amendment.
Only, right?
If you're for his amendment, yes. If not, no. We have 9 yeses, 8 noes, fails. Okay, we're back to the original amendment. So we will vote on the original amendment to change Katie's resolution from 35 to 50. Question or comment before we vote? We shall proceed to vote. Katie?
Okay, just for clarity. For clarity, the amendment is to add an additional $15 and whatever the dollar amount was for the motorcycle.
So
15 to 30, what we're looking at.
No, it'll be from 35, we'll go from 35 to 50. It will add an additional $15.
It's motorcycles will climb the same amount.
Are we voting on the third amendment?
Yes.
We're on the original amendment. If you're for that amendment, vote yes. If you are against it, vote no. The amendment fails. We're back to the original motion. We shall proceed to vote. Where's it at? Terry Dockery.
I'm not sure if I can really offer this amendment again, but if I can, I want to try it one more time. I want to keep it $35, but I want to amend to say that if passed, it stays in place until it goes on the public referendum in the 2000 election. I favor that year, but 2028, because it's a presidential election, and whatever the voters say in that election, the wheel tax continues or ends at the end of that fiscal year.
We have an amendment on the floor. Is there a second?
You hit amend your computer there, so.
Katie, did you have a speak?
I want to speak on the original motion.
All right, hang on a second.
Question, you said it.
We're ready to vote.
So, depends on how they vote.
Okay.
If they say yes, we keep it. If they say no, it ends that fiscal year. Maybe I wouldn't.
Vote
maybe I
on
didn't
Terry's
word that.
amendment.
It says about the real estate tax on yours.
It always says the wrong thing.
You got to vote.
Three noes, 14 yeses, passes. So the original motion is amended, correct?
Correct.
So we're back to the original motion as amended. We shall proceed to vote. Katie, do you want to speak?
I do want to speak. Okay. So this is $35. If you look at the budget, the last year how we balanced the budget, we removed over $1.5 million from what we had been supporting through the years, essentially. So this is putting back, it supports public safety, sheriff's vehicles, EMS ambulances, fire department and rescue squad funding, and adds a little bit to the public education capital and the public highways capital. This is not going to balance our budget, but it does help a lot. And I really hope every single one of you vote to support this, because our budget is way off this year. And I've heard from multiple people, they would prefer a wheel tax over a property tax increase. This does not increase maintenance of effort. It exempts those who receive the Tennessee Property Tax Relief Program. The goal is to replace back mostly what we removed from last year. So I really hope everybody will support this to help with our budgeting.
We shall proceed to vote. Passes 16 yes, 1 no. We shall move right along to resolution 2025-10, resolution amending the zoning resolution of Jefferson County, Tennessee to reflect certain prohibited uses and permitted uses of A1, R2, and C2 zoning districts. Is this a referral, Mr. Brooks?
Mr. Chairman, this resolution would just, the gist of it is to take campgrounds out of the A1 zone. 80% of the county's land is in the A1 zone, so a campground could pop up anywhere, maybe next to you. So I'm suggesting that we move that out and put that into the C2 zone, which would also affect the way the property is taxed. I think we'd agree campgrounds are a commercial use, and this resolution was written by our county attorney.
So you're wanting to pass the resolution itself?
Mr. Chairman, it's my understanding this resolution would need to pass tonight. It would then go to the Regional Planning Commission. From there, it would go to the City Planning Commissions, and then it would come back to this body for final approval.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Question or comment? We shall proceed to vote. John Neal.
Mr. Chairman, if we do this way, then there's no need to have a planning commission. If you're dictating a thing and passing it already, that's not the procedure to do it. And this thing here, just so everybody understands, it says permitted uses is hereby amended by placing a period after duplex and deleting the words mobile home on individual lots. So if this passes, modular housing's done in Jefferson County because it's not permitted use.
Anyone else? You rest? I rest. Got a whole bunch of people. Jim Snoggers, you're up first.
Yeah, I need some clarification on that. So, is that factual?
Can't live in commercial.
The words mobile homes on individual lots are deleted as an allowed and permitted use.
Can I speak to that?
Is that, Austin, is that correct? Is that what your intention was?
Floor, then you can have the floor.
I'm just, yeah, just clarify that for us, please, Austin.
Can I answer the question,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Katie.
Am I up?
Yes.
So my question was the same. If Austin, can I ask Austin if he
Sure.
can answer the question,
He's
please?
next.
Okay.
Do I have the floor, Mr. Chairman?
You sure do. You're
Thank you
next.
so much. All right, so this does not delete it. It actually moves it into the, I believe, the R2 zone. And as far as the procedure for which we are doing this, this was recommended by our county attorney. The law on this is extremely vague. Passing this resolution tonight, the only thing we're doing is sending it on to the Regional Planning Commission and then to the cities, and then it comes back. This is not a final pass. And I believe Mr. Scarlett sits on regional planning, and I'd be happy to discuss it with you there.
So you're, let me be clear and ask a question. You are taking mobile homes out of A1, is that correct?
Moving them into mobile home.
So if I buy 5 acres and it's A1, I cannot put a mobile home, a double wide or a
Whoa, 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 whoa. Double wide does not fall into that definition.
mobile homes. It rolls in on a set of wheels. And the definition's the same, manufactured house.
It is. Miss Janet, if you're done.
As a realtor, I'll tell you right now, there's almost no property in Jefferson County that you can put a double wide on right now. I have hunted, the 14 other realtors in our firm have hunted. there is nothing to be found. The restrictions that people put on their properties almost always say no mobile homes. A mobile home has to be rolled in. You can also have a manufactured home that's put together on site. That is not a mobile home. It looks like one, it acts like one, it quacks like one, but it didn't roll in, so it's not a mobile home. So they can still do that. But it is very difficult around here to find a piece of property with no restrictions. I'm looking for some now, so if anybody's got some property that don't have any restrictions on it, let me know.
You rest, Janet?
Rest.
Katie Huffer.
Okay, Austin, thank you for bringing this to,
She has, that is correct.
that's fine.
So we'll move to the next one. Be that be
Oh, I
Jim
didn't
Snoggers.
know.
Have you spoke yet? Yes. So we're done speaking if somebody else wants to speak. Anyone else want to speak to this before we vote? We'll proceed to vote. You have 7 yes, 10 no's, fails, any way you look at it. We shall proceed on to Resolution 2025-11, resolution recommending the General Assembly of the State of Tennessee to protect private property rights by making or amending law to limit the power of an eminent domain. We have a motion on the floor and a second. Terry Dockery.
Chairman, this is the one where I got way ahead of myself, and I guess it is because on 2025-01, I saw 114th session of the Tennessee General Assembly, but this is the one that passed. I'd like permission from Commission for the bill numbers to be inserted in the right place on the documents. Is that correct, Mr. Seal?
Okay, do you accept the makers of the motion? Sammy?
Yes.
You and Ronnie accept? So be it. We shall proceed to vote. Yes, 1 no, passes. Next, we have Resolution 2025-12, a resolution establishing infrastructure development districts.
Mr. Chairman, a little clarification on that real quick for you. This is a voluntary that the developer, and it's designed to encourage low to moderate income housing. I wanted to do an impact fee, but the state says we follow the same rules on the impact fee as we do on the adequate facilities growth. So you have to grow at a certain percent over 10 years in order to enact that. The state also kind of hinders us a little bit, and they say, so if you think you've grown more than that before the 10 years is up, you can pay for a special census and prove to us that you have. So it's prohibited for that. This here would be for, basically for a developer that comes in that is trying to do a different house, a house that we have a shortage of. We have people bringing jobs in, there's nowhere for people to live. I mean, you know what the housing market is, and I'm sure we might have a realtor that could tell us what prices are doing around here. This would be someone that has the incentive to try to take 10 acres or so, do affordable housing that can't really do the infrastructure costs up front. They would voluntarily ask, and the IDB would help them fund that infrastructure, but that infrastructure would be recovered by the county on a yearly basis until it was paid back. So the county would not be out anything. You would recover in your cost. No one's applying for it at this time. This is simply another tool in the tool belt of the Industrial Development Board. Any foreseen questions?
Question, comment?
I got a question for Lawyer Green. If we were to postpone this until such time.
If we were to postpone this until such time and leave it on the books open, if something come along and somebody applied, would we still be able to implement it prior to that, or does it have to be implemented prior to what they're doing, or application?
Without knowing the intricacies of it, I would tell you it would have to be in place.
Okay, thank you.
Katie?
Okay. When I look at this, it looks like high-density, affordable housing in the county.
Doesn't have to necessarily be in the county. The city can adopt it and do it too.
So wouldn't the cities adopt it on their own? Like, I don't.
We have no control over what the cities would do.
Right, so they would have their own
So
policy.
this would have to be a minimum of a 10-acre lot.
But it's,
And it would have to meet your zoning requirements, what we need on that 10 acres. It would be somebody that doesn't have the ability to put all the infrastructure in, thus can't move forward with the project.
I guess my concern is that we're gonna turn around and we're gonna approve high-density housing in the county when everybody's come out and said they don't want additional housing.
Right.
And this is really, the way I perceive it, is helping the developer with their costs. Because
It
it's
is. It's
internal
part of their cost.
infrastructure. It's
It-
not helping me as a citizen necessarily, because they're gonna have to take the cost on themselves
Right.
to make the development. So I really don't feel comfortable.
So let me, the intent of this, every county's having workforce issues in fair market housing on where to live. As we've been attracting people in, it's starting to rise to the point they go, do you have the workforce to support us? So, no one's on this, it would have to be approved by the IDB. I don't think it encourages high density out in the county. I think it's just limited to like 10 acres, 1 acre lots, something like that. But I don't think you would be able to go out into the county and establish this type of infrastructure, if you follow me. But I think it's a valid point. I don't know how this worked out. The legislature only gave us this ability in July of this year. So
if we postpone this, or so we can discuss it more,
yes,
process it more, figure out what am I actually.
no, I gave
I'm
it out
gonna-
at the work session for
Okay.
information, and
I would like,
read that's where it to be put on. So that's why it's here.
I like to motion to postpone it.
I second.
Indefinitely, or have you got a time?
I'm open for ideas.
Next meeting.
So, we've got to,
Let me make a suggestion real quick. Refer it to the Industrial Development Board and let them review it and come back and bring a recommendation to you. How's that?
okay.
Is that in a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'm asking everybody.
I withdraw my second.
You withdraw your
to
second?
Send it back to the,
Okay. So we're gonna refer it to the Jim Snargus while we figure this out.
Before she made the motion. I had my request to speak up before, I'm sorry.
Had my request to speak up before she made the motion. Can I ask the mayor a couple questions? So what body determines a blighted area?
Oh, that's
Is
not
it
the same.
us as a commission, or what, down here when you're looking, it says blighted area, which is gonna be the area that's designated for some type of development, right? The 10 acre. But who determines what property is blighted? It says what is blighted property, but what body determines that?
So that has to be planning and zoning. So if you're gonna do a development, you go to planning and zoning, you get a site plan, you get it approved. Then you would come here to try to get your infrastructure.
All right, so with that, blighted means this property's not so good and it's run down buildings and so forth. So the planning commission would then say, hey, we're gonna say this property's no good and let it fall under this program. It's near the section 8, John Neal. That's a pretty tough task, is my point. So I just want to know what body. Is that a county body or a state body that says,
It goes to planning refers to the planning commission, but the blight, I'm not sure. How's it determined now if somebody comes to do that?
I don't know. I think it's a good point for Katie to say, let's study this a bit, because I see that and I could say, what body's in charge? Is it some developers engaged in that body? And they want to take some land?
Somebody could go down this road without this infrastructure package if they wanted to. If they went through zoning and approval, got everything done, they would just not be able to get any help in putting their infrastructure in, which may make the difference of whether they do it.
Sure.
So let's say we don't have the infrastructure district in. Somebody comes in and they look at this property and they say blighted or whatever it is, we want to do this development. They would go through the regular procedure that they always do. If they got that approval and then wanted this infrastructure, it would have to be done through the IDB and also approved of this body to do that. Does that make kind of? But I still think it's a good idea to send it back to the IDB, let them look at it, other people do further study. This is brand new. It started in July. Knox County adopted it, and we'd be like second or third in the state. But there's no race here. Nobody's asking for it, so we have time to study it.
Janet Norton.
I'll just hold off with my question for now. I want to study it further as well, and I know that we are in great need of lower income housing that I would love to see come to the people that need it, and it be done well so we can all live with it. So let's study this, and I know I'll do my due diligence as much as I can and bring as much information to the next meeting. I rest.
We shall proceed. What does the commission wish to do?
We had them second withdrawn, so.
The second's been withdrawn, so we're down to the original motion.
Katie made a motion to refer,
postpone.
so you need a
Katie did
second on
make a
it or it
motion.
fails.
I apologize for being behind, but we got a different problem we're figuring out right now, so we got a bigger problem.
Her motion is to refer, is that correct, Ms. Katie? So you need to.
We have a motion on the floor to refer, and do we have a second?
I'll second.
Refer back to the
I'd
IDB.
love to if I could. Our
Tony
computer
Collins,
messed
a
up.
second. Question or comment before we vote? We're voting to refer back to IDB. I'll proceed to vote.
Oh, we've got a beer board meeting. Do we have
17-0 passed, full majority. Next on our agenda, we gotta throw it in reverse and go back to resolution 2025-09, your new wheel tax resolution. We have a problem with a date. Run this up here. It's to implement, our second reading of the wheel tax will be in April. And it's to be implemented in May 1st. And the clerk says he needs 90 days. So we're gonna have to revisit this date. It's gonna have to be August 1st.
The state, I will already be collecting, May wheel taxes in April. I mean, people will pay them ahead. The state requests 90 days before, they really request 120, which was a discussion we had 2 or 3 wheel tax resolutions ago. But, they'll already have renewals sent out for May renewals, and they'll have the wrong amount on them, and it will cause chaos in my office.
Mr. Drennan, would you please take the podium, please, sir? My question to you is, what's the best way to fix that?
Well, and your parliamentarian might want to weigh in too, but if you've passed it and you're still in the same meeting, I guess you could make a motion to reconsider, or I'm to be candid with you, off the cuff, I'm not 100% certain. I'm just trying to think of a way that you could reconsider it before you adjourn, to amend that to add the date. And that's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise,
My question
you would have to
was,
admit, you
would I have to rescind and then change the date and then reapprove it?
No, you can move to.
Because we ain't had a second reading yet.
Lawyer Drennan said you can either move to reconsider or you can move to amend the previously passed motion to include or change that date.
and it's a parliamentary question, for sure, with whether or not you can reconsider that at the same meeting. I don't think you have to, you don't have to rescind it. I don't believe so.
You can reconsider the same meeting. The simple thing would be to move to amend the previously passed motion to change the date on it.
All right. Mr. Dockery had a,
I move to amend the previously passed motion to make the effective date. What date did you say, Mr. Herndon?
We could do July 1st, but that's going to give us on the inside, that'll get us in the budget year.
That's what I was going to say.
So, July 1st, you're saying?
I can hold the state's feet to the fire and get July's renewals done in time, I believe.
Okay, I move amend it with the effective date of July the 1st, 2025.
is there a second?
Second.
Question or comment? Not hearing any, we'll proceed to vote. Hold up.
And I appreciate this very much.
If this fails, I think I'm gonna cry.
We appreciate you doing it, July, too.
Oh my gosh, that's what I thought they were telling us. We could
You have
use
no
it in the
idea.
budget. I was like, oh.
Okay, we're almost at the end. Is there any announcements? We have the mayor's, resolution to apply for raised grant funds for the purpose of completing an eligible transportation planning and design project that will benefit the majority of residents of Jefferson County, Tennessee. Question or comment? Mr. Blevins?
Oh, not on that. I just have something to say before you adjourn.
Oh, we ain't gonna adjourn for a minute.
Okay. What I missed.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Question or comment?
Clarify the motion once more, please.
Okay, this motion is a resolution to apply for raised grant funds for the purpose of completing an eligible transportation planning or design project that would benefit Jefferson County. In other words, it's to ask to partake grant funds. U.S. Department of Transportation has responsibility for the administration of notice of funding opportunity for fiscal year 2025 Rebuilding America Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity Grant Program, which is awarded on a competitive basis per statute for planning, constructing surface transportation infrastructure projects that will improve safety, environmental sustainability, quality of life, mobility, and community connectivity, economic competitiveness, and opportunity, including tourism, state of good repair, partnership, and collaboration and innovation. Question, comment? We'll proceed to vote. Pass 17-0. Do we have a beer board? Is there any announcements? Mr. Blevins, you're up.
I just wanted to say thank you, school board members who came at our work session, and tonight we appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. It means a lot that you show up and come. Thank you for the direction you're going.
Motion to adjourn.